What up guys, it is Thursday or day 16 of Journey to Freelance Designer. Today I thought I'd have a little chat about wrist issues and stretching. Alright, so the reason I'm talking about this is because I myself have had wrist issues before. Around halfway through last year, I was doing a lot of drawing on a cintiq and my wrist just started hurting along this edge and I couldn't draw and it really sucked because, you know, I wanted to get some stuff done and even though I had the time allocated for it, I couldn't even do what I wanted to do and that really sucked. So I know it's really not a good feeling when there's something you want to do but you just physically can't do it. And look, like, I'm young. I don't know how old you are, but I'm assuming you're like youngish too. And it's like, oh, why are we broken at such a young age, right? So I know that I wasn't supposed to be broken and that this should be able to be fixed. So I did a lot of research on the internet and talked to a lot of people trying to find solutions for the wrist issues from drawing. And I couldn't find too many solutions on the internet. There was a lot of people complaining, but there wasn't as much instructional resources. So, hence this video. So throughout trawling the internet and talking to people, there's around 4 main things that really help my wrist get better. Oh, by the way, I would say my wrist is quite fixed now, and in fact, it's the strongest it's ever been. So, which is great, right? So first, the number 1 thing that helped the wrist is something you've probably heard a million times. And if you haven't, well, at least you're gonna hear it now. A lot of people talk about using the shoulder as a pivot instead of the wrist. And you know, I remember people telling me this and I was like, yeah, of course I'm using the shoulder, duh. But I wasn't. When you're drawing, I was kind of like, actually, I was using an elevated surface. Anyway, long story short, so when I was drawing, I was using this movement a lot. As you can see, the wrist is making a lot of small movements, which is what will in turn give you some issues along this edge. Instead, it's better if you try and make all your movements come straight from the shoulder. If you think of your arm as 3 pivots, you can have your wrist, your elbow, and your shoulder, with your shoulder being the largest one. If you look at the big circle drawing competitions, the way that they'll get like a perfect circle is by doing a full circle with their arm because it's like the strongest joint, it's the most sturdiest joint, and when you're drawing, that's why you want to use a shoulder. It'll make your line straighter because it's a larger arc and it won't hurt your wrist in the long run. Cool. Alright, so the second thing that I like to do is wrist exercises. If my wrist ever starts hurting, I'll do these exercises and within like 2 days after I do the exercise, it'll be fine. I don't have any weights with me at the moment. If you pretend this is a dumbbell, we'll use that. So take a really light weight. You don't want to go heavy because that will screw up your wrist. If you have like a 1 kilo or a 2 pound, that'd be perfect. And you just want to grab the dumbbell and curl it up and try to get the full range of motion. Yeah. And I don't know, I'll do this a couple of times. I definitely won't overtrain it because that's the issue we're having, is that we're overusing that joint, which is why we're getting issues. But at the same time, you don't want to underdo it because then they'll like do nothing, right? You really want to get that mobility and strength in there. Alright, number 3. This helped one of my other friends out as well. So with the tablet, it's kind of grippy, and if I was to draw on normal paper, this is like the amount of pressure I would be putting down on this part of the hand. But on the tablet, it literally moves it around. So to compensate for this grippiness of the tablet surface, I was drawing differently. I was keeping my wrist elevated at points, which was putting strain again back at this spot. So to solve this issue, what I did was to just use a glove. So my friend gave me a glove one day, or my housemate gave me this glove actually. And when you have the glove, it slides around. I'm sure you've seen like those 2-fingered gloves that people use. Hang on, I think I have one. Okay, here we go. And so these 2-finger gloves are great, and again, when you're drawing, it reduces the friction. The best part about this is that you'll now have an added weight-bearing point in which you can use while you draw. Alright, so number 4. So I've always learned to draw or write with the stylus after the second finger. But I was reading this article and the girl was saying that when you draw, it's best to have the stylus as perpendicular to the tablet surface as possible. And so if you want it to be perpendicular, if you're holding the stylus in a normal place while you're trying to be perpendicular, your hand has to be like this, which isn't an optimal position. But if you change your grip so that you have 2 fingers, you can get much closer in a natural position. So what I mean is, instead of drawing like this, moving it to the next knuckle, making the pen more perpendicular to the tablet puts less pressure on your wrist. Another reason is that your wrist at neutral is like this. That's why people have concerns when you use a mouse, because your wrist isn't in a neutral position. But then when you use a stylus and you put your wrist in a neutral position, it's not going to be hitting the surface. So you're still having to turn your wrist. However, when you bring it to the next knuckle, your wrist can simulate a more natural position. Yeah, there we go. So it may feel a little weird at first, having the stylus rest on the third finger knuckle, but I found that this really helped. I mean, if you want to be really hardcore, you could probably learn to draw with a fist. You're probably not going to have any wrist issues if you did that. That'd be the best. Fist drawing life. Yeah, it looks stupid, but if anyone does draw like that, the wrist is in a completely neutral position, so it's like super good for you, right? So yeah, these are the 4 tips that I have. If anyone has anything else to add to this, I'd love to know. Please put it down in the comments and then maybe you can help someone else too. That'd be great. So if you do have wrist issues, please, you should probably get that checked out. Like if you're an artist or want to be an artist, like your wrists are your livelihood. So you don't want to gamble with your career and your health. And if art is the thing that makes you happy, it's like, oh, you don't want to gamble with your happiness there too. It's like a triple whammy. But yeah, I hope any one of these tips have helped you. That would make me really happy. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, I make videos every single day of the week. You can follow along by subscribing here. I'm gonna have a video here recommended for viewer by YouTube. And if you have anything to say or any questions, just pop me a comment and we'll get back to you. Thanks for watching, guys. Till tomorrow. Peace.